Hey everybody, it's Brooke with The Buttered Home and welcome to my messy kitchen. Today we have a one-pot meal for you that is special and elegant, but not a lot of work and not a lot of fancy ingredients. We have some optional things and some add-ins that you can make it a little fancier if you want, but you don't have to. This is our classic one-pot Tuscan chicken. You will not want to miss this one. Okay, so we're going to get started. I have about a pound of boneless, skinless chicken thighs, and I like using chicken thighs for this because we cook this over direct heat on top of the stove, and they stay really moist by using the chicken thigh. So we're going to just season each thigh with a little salt and a little pepper. My standard measurements for salt and pepper is about a half a teaspoon of salt and about a quarter teaspoon of pepper. But this is just for the chicken, so you don't have to put a ton in there. Now, over medium heat, I'm going to heat up about 2 tablespoons of olive oil. And we'll just get that dancing around in here while we finish seasoning our chicken. Because we want our pan really hot. And I'm using kind of a large pan here. You can use cast iron, whatever you desire. But we just want to make sure that we have enough room for lots of liquid too. So I'm using about a 5 to 6 quart pan here. So now we want to use just a little bit of dried basil. I'm using probably about half a teaspoon in all total. And you can add more at the end of the dish too. It is Tuscan, so. And then just to add to the sweetness and flavor of the chicken, we're going to be using some smoked paprika. And I'm using about a whole tablespoon of that, because this will give our chicken and our sauce that really pretty rustic color that we're looking for. So we're just getting one side of the chicken good and seasoned. Now, I believe my oil is pretty hot, so I'm going to get it all on the bottom of the pan. And then we'll get that seasoned side of our chicken into the pan. I also like using boneless thighs because they come kind of thin once you stretch them out. So you notice I'm putting that seasoned side down. And then just to alleviate, any kind of mess, we're going to season the other side now. Just a little more salt. A little pepper. More basil. Some more of that smoky paprika. Using about a whole tablespoon of this smoked paprika, but it goes a long way. So just make sure I get that olive oil good and around in there. Then we're just going to cook these for about 6 minutes per side. And then we'll take them out of the pan and let them rest over here on a paper towel. Okay, so we've cooked these probably about 6 minutes on one side, and then I flipped them, and it's been about 5 minutes on the other. So I have one thigh that is thicker than the rest, and we just want to make sure in the thickest part of the thigh that they come up to 165 degrees for doneness. And we are almost there on these thinner pieces and should be able to take them up relatively soon. But these thicker pieces are going to need just a little bit longer, probably about the full 2 minutes. So I'm going to give them a flip and let them cook a little bit more on that thicker side. And this real thin guy is good to take up. So I'm going to put him over here to the side and let him rest and take his temperature one more time. And yeah, he's fantastic. He's right at 166 actually. Okay, so I lowered my heat to low. We were cooking somewhere between probably medium low on that. And you see we got all these good bits in here. So now we're about to deglaze this pan. We're going to use 1/3 of a cup of chicken broth. I'm just going to take my whisk and move it around to kind of deglaze the pan just a little bit. Now we've got 1/2 cup of sliced onions and 1/2 cup of sliced tomatoes, and I'm just using cherry tomatoes. They make for a good little bit better of a bite. And we're going to saute those in the chicken broth just until they soften a bit. And get soak up all that flavor from the seasoning of the chicken. Now while we simmer those a bit, I'm going to get out about 1/2 cup of sun-dried tomatoes. And I love these things. They're packed in olive oil and they are delicious. I love to eat them just on a cracker. All right, and then I'm just going to run my knife through them just to kind of chop them up. You want to be careful if you do this because it's real slippery. And we just want to chop them up just a little bit just to kind of get them all nice and bite-sized. Some of them can be kind of long. All right, we've got that good and soft. So now we're going to add in 2 tablespoons of minced garlic. And you'll notice that I do this right at the end of the saute because I don't want that garlic to burn. We only just want to cook it just for a minute, just so it can release its aromatics from the oils in the garlic. Now I have 1 cup of heavy cream that we'll add in. And give that a stir just so it can combine with the chicken broth. And it'll almost start to thicken immediately. Then we want to add in 1 tablespoon of Dijon mustard. And I use a heavy tablespoon because the Dijon will add a good bit of tang to the sauce. And we'll just whisk that in until it thickens, which over low to medium heat won't take very long. All right, now that's thickened. So we're going to add in 1/2 cup of fresh grated mozzarella. Let me get it all in. And then about 1/2 cup of grated Parmesan cheese. And we just want to mix those in just until they're melted. And that will help our sauce continue to thicken. Beautiful, just an absolutely beautiful sauce. You could use this for so many things, just pasta. Of course, you won't have the chicken drippings, but you know, you can probably use a little bacon grease if you have it on hand. But just a gorgeous, velvety, beautiful, absolutely beautiful sauce. So now we want to add in our sun-dried tomatoes, and that was about a half a cup. And those things are oily, so I gotta wipe my hand off. And get those nice and mixed in. And they'll also release a ton of flavor in there too. And it's a really sweet, different kind of flavor than the fresh tomatoes that we added in. And just a whole different flavor component and texture component. Now we have 4 cups of baby spinach, and I'm gonna add it in a handful at a time, just so it can start to wilt in that sauce. And we're gonna add the rest of it in. And get it all nice and coated. All right, now that our spinach has started to wilt, I'm gonna add the chicken thighs back in. And if you wanted, you could even take the thighs and shred them before you put back in here, and then serve this over pasta. It's just absolutely delicious. But we're just gonna get some of that goodie and put it on top. And then we will just allow this to sit over low heat, covered, for just a few minutes, just until everything heats through. Then we'll come back and we'll give it a taste test, see if it needs a little salt and pepper, and then we'll serve it. So stay with us. Okay, we are back. We let this heat through and it just turned out beautifully. Let's take a look at it. It's just gorgeous. You can just see all of those beautiful colors in there, and you can take this beautiful sauce and just garnish your pieces with it. Everything is cooked beautifully and perfectly. It's still really, really hot. But it just serves up just gorgeous, and that chicken is perfection. When you add it back in the sauce like this, it just becomes just a thing of beauty. I mean, it just is just silky. And I'll tell you, I tasted my sauce and it didn't need anything else. So we're gonna give it a taste. Maybe it's cooled off a little bit so that I can. Let me get some of the onion and tomato. I just, you know, you want everything in a perfect bite. And it's dripping all over me. We'll save that for later. This is like my favorite dish to make. I mean, whenever we want something a little fancier, and you're just using produce and things that you already have probably in your cabinet. And this sauce is perfect. If it gets too thick, all you have to do is just add just a little chicken broth to it, just to thin it up a little bit, so it's even better left over the day before if you have any. Recipe is easy to double for a bigger crowd. It's just one of our favorites. And if you don't like onions, you can substitute that with like cabbage or something, another vegetable, or even shallots, as shallots are just a little milder than onions. But it really adds so much flavor, and those onions just kind of melt into the dish, just like the spinach does. But the sun-dried tomatoes and the tomatoes really add a ton of flavor. And this dish really lets that smoked paprika show out a little bit, where you can get a lot of flavor with just a little seasoning, and not a huge amount of salt. So salt is great, but if you're watching your sodium intake, you need to find other sources that help get flavor into your food, and smoked or Hungarian paprika is a really great way to do that. This recipe, like all of our others, can be found over at thebutteredhome.com with a free printable recipe card for you. Take a look at our website. We're real proud of it. You can search by ingredient and find anything that you want to make for supper tonight or meal prep for the week. If you're not already, make sure that you're following us on all of our social channels. We have a really good time and we want you with us no matter where we are. And if you want all of our videos in one convenient place, head over to YouTube, search for The Buttered Home, and when you find us, hit that subscribe button and ding the bell so that you can be notified when we drop new videos like this one. Y'all, this is delicious. I'm gonna sit down and relax and finish my creamy one-pot Tuscan chicken that was made easy in one pan with very little cleanup. I did it in a flash while we were letting things simmer through. Clean kitchen, one pan to wash. What could be better than that, right? From all of us here at The Buttered Home to your home, we sure love y'all. Bye.